Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, thank you very much for inviting me to come and talk to you today. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, all right. And thank you very much for a great dinner and evening last night. I really appreciate my session starting at 10:30 this morning, so that all of you can come and attend, and also for me personally. This is my first time in Sopot. This is my first time in Poland. I'm sad to say, but I'm very happy to actually be here. And actually, after last night's hospitality, and I find Polish people very warm and open and enticing. So thank you very much. I really had a great time, and this will not be the last time that I come back to Sopot, which is such a beautiful place, and to Poland. So when Fnac asked me to come and talk to you about innovation and to join the panel, the first thing I thought about was Poland. Well, firstly, I thought, actually, Sopot, where is it? And then I discovered, actually, it was a really nice place. Then I thought, Poland, innovation. I thought, mBank. I think outside of Poland, especially in Asia, people know Poland for mBank, innovation. I also thought of the Mars rover, because I think you've got a company that makes parts for the Mars, the little buggy that goes on the Mars planet. So I thought, Poland actually very innovative country. What can I say about China that would be interesting to the Polish audience? So I hope today I can share a little bit of light on what's going on in China. I think I've got 25 minutes. I have far too much to say, so I will try to be really quick and to try and give you a bit of an experience, okay? So I titled this session, The Art of the Possible. Many things are possible, and Chinese companies actually have been very innovative in terms of the use of technology in terms of transforming their business, and particularly in the financial services and insurance area. So how many of you have heard of Tencent and Ant Financial, Alibaba? Yeah, okay, all right. How many of you actually seen the kinds of services that they offer? Beyond the, thank you, beyond the stock market listing, and you all wonder why the valuations are very high. Okay. At the core of this, there's a couple of things. Firstly, obviously, Chinese people. There are many, many Chinese people, and they are all on these platforms. So Tencent has 900 million. Alibaba has about 500 million sitting on these platforms. The other thing that's very interesting is, because of the technology, they have found ways to do the business in a very profitable way. So fintech in China is very different to maybe fintech in the US or the West. Fintech in China is very profitable. It makes a lot of money. It's a very large scale. And what I'm going to show you today is actually a little bit of this, okay? Okay, so I think of digital as not being a threat to the insurance business, but digital is an opportunity, a very big opportunity in terms of us to be able to transform the business. And just to give you a few highlights, we really do believe that China is the most dynamic insurtech market in the world. We have some insurance companies with 450, 480 million users of their digital application. We have WeChat, which is a big channel. So the average Chinese spends about 100 minutes a day on WeChat application. And then we have some very innovative insurance products. I'll show you a few, but maybe what you think of insurance in international markets, we have taken that and extended it into different types of scenarios to solve different customer pain points. And then, of course, many of you know Ping An? Yeah, Ping An, okay, yeah, okay. So Ping An, I think, has been probably the insurance company that has really embraced technology the most, taken technology, implemented it in its business, and then is now actually offering it as a technology platform to other insurance companies, other financial companies on cloud as a service. And I'll get into some of this in just a minute. Okay, so what has this meant in terms of growth? So today, I think the online insurance premiums in China are about 280 billion renminbi, which is roughly maybe 50 billion US. It's been growing at about 150% a year, and we think that this is going to grow pretty well in the next little period. And I promised you a little flavor of some of the products you can buy. Okay, so many of you will know Alibaba, but e-commerce, shipping is you buy something. It's a bit different to Amazon, because in Amazon you buy something and you can often return it from the store. Sometimes in China you can't return it. However, a lot of insurance companies, people like Ping An and others, provide returns insurance. So you can actually just insure yourself at checkout. It's a very small premium, many billions of tickets, but we can insure for a pain point. I fly a lot, especially in China. I think we have a lot of flight delays. So one of the products that we have is flight delay insurance in China. So you can buy this product a day in advance, half a day in advance, and if your flight's late, you get paid. Now, the consumer is happy about this. The insurance company is relatively happy about this because you can adjust the pricing quite dynamically. And the airlines are very happy about this because before you had a lot of unhappy passengers when they get to the airport, we've got 4, 6, 8-hour delays. Now I get paid, right? So I'm solving a pain point. So we have a lot of what we call scenario-based insurance products that are available online, available in sort of micro tickets, and deployed entirely digitally. And we've been able to do this at scale in a relatively efficient and cost-effective way. Now, how did this happen? So, I don't think Chinese companies are necessarily the best in the world in terms of developing new technology. Okay? So if you look at things like patents and innovations, actually, China is not that big. But I think if you look at the application of technology to real business problems, China's very good at this. Right? And so we actually take a lot of technology that is readily available, and we use it to solve a problem. Right? So it could be account opening, it could be identity verification, it could be KYC, it could be very simple things like we all have mobile phones. They're expensive these days. They often break the screen. It's a product that has demand, but it's very expensive to deploy because this is a product that you have to check it out, whether your screen is broken. You have to check it out, whether it is actually broken after you insured it, so you can play a claim. But we can apply lots of things like QR codes. So we now actually have broken screen insurance where we use the QR code to check before. So you send a QR code to the phone that you actually want to insure, and then you take a picture of it. And if it breaks, you send another code, and you check out whether or not it's broken. So the application of that technology is really the innovation as opposed to the technology. Okay, so how does it actually work in terms of Chinese digital players? And when I say this, I talk about the new fintechs, the techs, and also some of the conglomerates. So, firstly, we think of scenarios. We think of scenarios where we can engage the customer and solve a problem. We then think about what the product might be, and then we think about how we can actually drive analytics out of that product. And this is a virtual cycle off the platform. Of course, everything is very digitized. So we have all the systems sitting on typically cloud. So like an insurer I mentioned earlier, like Ping An, most of the systems are sitting on cloud and available at very, very incremental cost. And this is how the innovation works. And so I can then now start building innovative products to serve different customer scenarios in the cycle. Now, there are three kinds of players that are working on innovation. So, of course, we have the traditional incumbent insurance companies, people like Ping An, Tae Kyung, China Pacific. I mean, many of the insurance companies are doing this at various paces. We have two very big giants in China, so Ali and Tencent. They are very much innovating here and also keeping, I think, the insurance industry very competitive, because everybody is worried about what Ali and Tencent are going to do in financial services. And so when the insurance companies build something, Ali and Tencent are also there. All right? And I'll talk a little bit more about this in just a moment, because they come from it from two different angles. The insurance companies come from it from a data and use case scenario. The big techs like Ali and Tencent come from a very much a technology standpoint, right? So how can we deploy our technology to be able to access customers? And then we actually have a lot of what I would call some of the traditional insurtechs or fintechs. Different players like Zhong An, which I think many of you might have heard of, which is an online insurer that listed in Hong Kong late last year. I think roughly about a $13 billion valuation. Many customers, not always profitable, okay, but they also have very innovative and differentiated technology and products. And then lots of different tech providers, right? So AI providers, online marketing providers that can help the insurance business basically transform itself. Okay, so where are we seeing impact? I was talking to someone earlier about impact, because I think, yes, we can spend a lot of money on technology, but does it actually create a return on investment? And I think this is an area where, if you look at China, it's an area where we actually do see quite substantial gains. Firstly, in terms of, if you look at most of the big fintech platforms, Tencent, Ali, Ant Financial, which is Alibaba's financial services arm, they are very profitable at very high operating margins, and actually at very high scale as well. So what we've seen is that the impact comes in three areas. Firstly, in terms of enabling the traditional insurance value chain, so we can do lots of things in the value chain much better. Secondly, we can extend the insurance value chain and get into new ecosystems of business. So related areas might be healthcare, lifestyle, lending, right? So there are many different things that you can actually do. And so many of the players in China think about these businesses as platforms, as opposed to segmented businesses or different lines of business. And then the third thing that we've also seen is, when I create the technology, when I create that differentiating technology, I can also offer it to others. And so it could be credit bureaus, it could be I offer my insurance tech solutions as an insurance company to other insurance companies. And this is something that we see very widespread now in China. Okay, let me skip over this, but I just wanted to say that we can apply digital across the value chain. Okay, so enough with the theory. Let me maybe talk about three companies give you some real examples. I'm going to go through Ping An, Tae Kyung, and Zhong An. Okay? And I'm happy to have a chat about it on the panel. Okay? So firstly, on Ping An. So Ping An was a very traditional insurance company. However, it's gone through many stages of transformation over the last couple of decades. So it went from a traditional insurance company to multi-lines of business. So got into banking, asset management, securities, trust, lots of different businesses. And then it went from there to building ecosystems. So today, I think Ping An has about 130 million financial services customers, but it has about 450 million digital users. So it built a whole bunch of new ecosystems in financial services, in lifestyle, in shopping, in healthcare, in travel, right? So it owns the largest online auto mall. It has an online real estate broker. So many different ecosystems. And then, now it is essentially then took those businesses and then they tried to make them into one. So one of the things that I think Ping An does very well is basically take all the data from all the touch points that it has on a customer and aggregates it onto a platform. Now, the different businesses still have to respect data privacy and so on, and you have to get agreement from the customer to be able to use data across the company, but they have put it into one platform. And I think this has been really where the value has been for Ping An, to be able to take leads and to be able to generate leads from one part of the business and to close them in another part of the business. And so this actual one platform has been quite important and valuable to them to be able to effect the transformation. And then today, they have a new strategy, which is basically Fin plus Tech, which they announced in November last year, which is essentially, I use financial services. I have invested heavily in technology, so Ping An has spent about $1 billion a year on technology investments, like change the business investments. To be able to offer that and to be able to train my models, to be able to offer that to other financial institutions. So they have the financial piece, and based on the experience from the financial piece, to be able to offer solutions to the rest of the financial industry. So actually, several hundred banks use their platform in China. Quite a number of the insurance companies now are doing so. They are one of the biggest cloud providers in China. And I'll go through some of the other technologies in a minute. Okay, so 5 big areas that they've invested in: biometrics, big data, AI, blockchain, and cloud. Okay, so they've made significant investments here, which then they've applied to the business. Let me just show you a couple of things. So facial recognition is something that's very widespread in China. So one of the things that Ping An did, I think facial recognition is, the technology is actually quite well established. When I come through Europe, I can use the facial recognition for entry. In China, they've basically taken that technology and applied it to the smartphone. So, and then Ping An actually has connected that facial recognition technology to the Public Security Bureau database. So every Chinese citizen now can be verified on your smartphone. So when you want to open an account, just look in the phone. Okay? So I know who you are, right? And I can also pre-complete stuff for you. So this is just one of the things. I think we've also seen this technology basically applied for the Public Security Bureau in the airports. So if some of you have gone through maybe Shenzhen Airport, so you see, or Shanghai Airport, you see these cameras there at the airport. So those are provided by Ping An. Ping An is supporting the government to be able to do the security checks on entry. There's, I mean, some other technologies that you can use here. There's a microfacial expression. So lending in China is something which is very unsecured lending is something which is quite difficult in China, and especially in emerging markets. You have quite high loss rates, and Ping An has basically applied this to run a smart interview. So basically, you get in front of a smartphone, they ask you a bunch of questions about your credit history, and they can tell based on your facial features what emotional state you are in. And effectively, it's a lie detector test, right? So what you said, is it really the case? Okay. We've also seen automotive claims, right? So in the insurance business, there's always a little bit of challenge between the claims adjusters and the garages and some of the gray area claims. So Ping An tried to address this pain point by using visual recognition to video accidents, like after they've happened, to look at the damage, to use the visual recognition to understand which components have been broken, and then to basically compare it with the parts database, the repair, the labor costs to repair, and they can come up with an estimate for you on the spot about how much that accident would cost. So they've been processing this. It has quite a substantial uplift in terms of, for the cases that they can process, something like about 8 percentage points of combined ratio impact. So if you look at China today, the combined ratio of the auto insurance industry is about 105% overall. Ping An's is roughly about 90%. Now, there's some scale effects in there, but also they have the technology platform and the processes to get this done in a meaningful way. Okay. Let me just say a couple of words about life as well, because I also recognize I'm running out of time rapidly. In life, and actually all kinds of like front office sales, where even actually in China, people have tried, many people have tried to sell life insurance online, digitally only. It has been a real challenge. We've not figured it out yet. The only thing that is sold digitally online is some of these life wealth management products, which are not really protection products. They're more investment products. But generally speaking, we've found it very difficult to sell online. However, digital can actually have a real impact on the productivity of your agency. So I'll show you in just a minute, but basically, Ping An has taken that big database of 450 million app users, tried to understand needs, tried to understand what they want, and then provided leads to their agents. And so their agency is now working on what they call an SAT platform, which is a social application and telecenter support model. It's an integrated model where the agent builds an online profile. The platform helps support them in terms of lead generation, and then they send the agent to go and close the sale. And the agent is then supported by the telecenter to be able to close the sale with expertise. This has had quite a big impact on the average agent productivity. So Ping An has about 1.4 million agents, and they try to target about a 1.5 times uplift in terms of agent productivity. So despite the agency growing, which you all know is quite difficult, they have also been increasing the average premium per agent because of the platform. Okay, so this is something that they found to be quite valuable. Okay, I'm probably going to skip this. Okay, one word. So one of the things that Ping An is doing is basically taking these platforms and these solutions and trying to offer them as part of its One Connect platform, where they basically offer it as a SaaS, basically on the cloud, to other institutions. So China, this is already quite established. Outside of China, it's happening now. So we have some clients where they're literally taking the platform and implementing it overseas. They are in the process of basically moving this onto a Singapore-based cloud I'm not sure every global financial institution is too comfortable hosting in or using a cloud in China, so they've tried to make it easier by moving it to an international cloud location. Okay. I am not sure. I got 4 seconds left. Can I get another 4 or 5 minutes? Or yes? It's okay? Are you all bored yet? Okay, all right, okay, I tried to do this really quickly. Okay, so Tae Kyung, so this gentleman is Chairman Tjun. He's the chairman of Tae Kyung. Tae Kyung is one of the big insurers based in Beijing. They are not as digital as Ping An. They don't have the kind of IT budget that Ping An has. How many people spend $1 billion on new tech a year? Okay? So they tried a different strategy, which is essentially to take let's call it cradle to heaven, right? So it's basically, I start from a baby right through to passing away. I find different solutions for customers. I try to build an ecosystem of customers with all of their needs, to be able to serve all their needs. And so Tae Kyung have gone into the wealth, life, and health ecosystems. So they try to maintain that group of customers and be able to provide for particularly the wealthier customers. If you put your assets with me, I can then give you the services across the value chain. And so they've got into hospitals, they're offering accumulation, decumulation services, and they're trying to enable this with technology. So, I mean, basically, they're spending roughly about $250 million a year in terms of tech investments to be able to enable this. But certainly it's not at the same scale as Ping An. Okay. There's a company called Zhong'an, which is very controversial, I think, in the industry about whether or not they are profitable or not. This is an insurance company, but is actually a technology company. So they think of themselves as a technology company. Many people think of them as an insurance company. So this is a company that was started by Tencent, Alibaba, and Ping An, though that's basically where it stops, right? So they are very much an innovative company. They try to build new tech and put it into different digital ecosystems. So let me put up some numbers here, okay? So I'm not going to read them all out, but they have lots of small tickets and lots of customers, and they get them by working with about 300 different digital partners online. And what they've done is they've essentially digitized the insurance underwriting into a box and then basically offer this to anybody's customer journey. So if I'm trying to book a travel trip, so we have these big online travel apps in China, Ctrip, China, they basically have hundreds of millions of online customers. And what Zhong'an tries to do is basically implement an online underwriting as part of the customer journey. So it could be that. So when you book a trip, you could, there's a little button which allows you to buy the travel insurance. Similarly, in returns, shipping and returns insurance, so when you buy something online and you're not sure whether or not you can return it to the merchant, it's part of the customer journey when you check out. It's in the basket already. So this is how they basically scale and grow, and they've got that sort of online underwriting engine, which is very efficient and enables you to do that. They've also got something else which is also quite interesting. So they try to build new ideas. So they put a lot of products in the market and try to see which ones actually work and which don't. So they kill a lot of products. So they've got a platform called Ayunbao. Ayunbao is it's a social distribution platform where we use, so in WeChat you can, so in China we use WeChat, QQ, and other social media, but you can do it also in Facebook and others. You can recommend an insurance product to your friends and network. And if they buy, you can get paid a commission. So this is something which it's a P2P insurance platform, but the underwriting and the license can be by a carrier. So this is something which it's not just offered by, it's not just Zhong'an underwriting, it could be other different insurance companies, right, by using the platform. So Zhong'an thinks of itself as a technology platform, not as an insurance company. I think it tries to be an insurance company in China to show that you can do this. It's made a lot of investments, which is also why when you look at the operating metrics, it's profitability-wise, it's not as exciting as maybe some of the Ping An numbers. Okay. Okay. So in summary, I think when we look at what we see in terms of incumbents moving into the insurtech area, I think there's 4 areas where I think incumbents actually do very well. Firstly, you have real-life experiences which help to be able to train the models and the AI. And so I think this is something which is very valuable. When you look at tech players, they don't have this. So the classic is the auto insurance business, the auto insurance claims business. So having accidents is very helpful to train a model, right, to be able to assess damage. Secondly, we've seen that insurance companies actually do well in terms of centralizing their differentiated tech so that you can recruit the best talent to be able to do that. And you actually have to make it quite exciting for the talent to come and work in an insurance company. And so actually creating the right environment to be able to do that is very important. And then I think competitive remuneration. So last one. What's the call to action? Firstly, work to solve real-world problems. So you have to think about how it's going to transform your business, so that a piece of innovation. Secondly, and I say this like to kind of maybe some traditional audiences, though of course I'm not implying that any of you are very traditional, but being very open to innovation and what you can do with innovation, I think is very important. I hear a lot about regulation. Doesn't allow us to do this. This was also the case in China, right? We had, and Ping An found this a lot, right? Which is, we can't open accounts without actually being in front of the customer. Well, guess what? The regulator was actually okay with it, right? Because when you took an idea to them and you showed them how it could be done, they said, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. This is better than what we had before, right? So I think being open to innovation can be very very important here. And then thirdly, I don't think you have to do this all yourself. You know, guys like Ping An have done it themselves, but they also do it through partnerships. So they're out acquiring. They're acquiring tech companies and fintechs and insurtechs around the world to help them accelerate the business. So one of the things that Ping An has set up is a $1 billion fund to basically buy small companies and basically bring it to their ecosystem and plug them in and use their technology to be able to accelerate the transformation. But you could also think about it as we have other clients that basically want to be using and being able to deploy these types of solutions, and you could work with guys like Ping An, take their solution off as a SaaS off the cloud, and use it in your business. So I think there are 3 things, right? Being very, firstly, being very focused on real-world problems. Secondly, being very open to innovation. And then thirdly, think about partnerships and where you could get this stuff from. Okay, thank you. I hope this is interesting. We have a very, I think, esteemed panel where I think we can also talk a little bit about this. Pranek, are you going to moderate?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
this absolutely fantastic presentation. And thank you for being with us here in Sopot. And we are happy to hear that you will keep good memories from Poland. So